Bonjour and welcome.
Bonjour.
Welcome to Creative Block. I'm your host, Gene.
And V. We interview people in the animation industry about their life, work, and hobbies while we doodle jam.
We asked people on Twitter if they had specific topics they wanted us to discuss, as well as some drawing prompts.
And today with us, we have Thomas Astruc.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Bonjour.
Hi, Gene. Hi, V.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't we start with you telling us who you are and what you do?
So, my name is Thomas Astruc. I'm French. I'm 46. And I'm mostly known for having created Miraculous Ladybug. And that's what I'm mostly known for.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I'm a director, scriptwriter, and story artist.
Yeah, very successful, very big fandom,
Yeah.
I would say.
Let's hear about your life story and how you got interested in art and how you got interested in cartoons. When was the first time that you were like, oh, I love drawing or telling stories?
Okay. As far as I remember, I have always drawn, but I think that's the case for most children. We start to draw at the very early age, and I guess the only difference between us and the people who don't draw anymore is that we never stopped.
Pretty much, yeah.
And obviously, when you do something every day and every time, of course, you become better and better. But I guess probably that's the only difference. I guess whenever I go back to my grandparents' house, my grandmother has my first drawings on the wall.
Oh, really? That's really charming.
Yeah, in the attic.
Yeah.
So it's kind of again, I feel nostalgic every time I go there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this drawing is my first, stick figure.
Mm-hmm,
It's and I was about maybe 2 years old or something.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's really cute.
Yeah.
So voilà. So I guess I've been drawing all the time, and what I love to draw is mostly what I saw on TV or what I read as in comic books.
Mm-hmm.
My father is a huge comics fan, so he had a huge library with thousands of European comic books.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I spent my childhood reading comic books and drawing.
Would you think that you spent more time reading comic books or watching cartoons?
I'm 46, so at that time we didn't have a lot of cartoons on television. So
yeah, that's
right,
fair.
yeah. For sure.
It can sound amazing, incredible for younger people, but at that time we only had 3 TV channels.
That's true.
Hey, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of forget about that. That like there was no stream. I mean, I grew up that same way too, but I completely forget that that's like not normal. That's like everyone is so used to all these streaming services now and like having animation in front of you at any time. But yeah, kids didn't have cartoons growing up.
We had a few, so I really enjoyed it. And at that time, we weren't producing cartoons in France, so mostly we had Japanese cartoons or short movies done by some artists from France or Eastern countries, or a few cartoons from America, but not so much. I don't know why. You could expect that you would have Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck or Mickey Mouse on television, but we didn't have that. I don't know, probably a kind of rights issue. Maybe it was too expensive to get these cartoons on TV. So we mostly had the Japanese cartoons. So, but there were a few cartoons, but these few cartoons really had a huge influence on, because I can see that it has really tainted everything I do.
Yeah.
The one that had the biggest influence on me is Grandizer. I don't know if you remember it. It's a giant robot cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't very famous even in Japan, because it's the first series based on Mazinger.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So Mazinger was very famous, but Grandizer not so much.
Yeah. I've heard of Mazinger.
Yeah, but probably because in Grandizer, the pilot of Mazinger, Koji Kabuto, is not the main hero. He's just a sidekick for another hero. So I guess it wasn't very popular because of that. But the thing I really loved in this cartoon, and of course, when I was watching this, I didn't analyze it this way, but now I can see why I liked it. It's because the story, the message of the story is very powerful. The Grandizer. So basically, there is an extraterrestrial race that has huge, very deadly weapons shaped like robots, and they use it to
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
make other races in the galaxy. Basically, they're slavers, galactic slavers.
Sure.
And the hero of Grandizer is the prince of a planet, and his planet got destroyed, and he manages to steal the most powerful weapon of the bad guys, and then he flies to Earth to hide with this weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And then he decides to protect Earth using this weapon. And meanwhile, when he's on Earth, he hides as a farmer boy. He stays in a farm, and basically all he wants to do is, deal with animals, play guitars, and just hang around with the girls, the girl he loves. So it's a kind of hippie way of life, you know.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Oh, that's really sweet.
There's it's kind of the hero of the story is a kind of intergalactic hippie who fights fascists.
Hell yeah! I like the sound of that.
And this is something that really and I can see that in everything I do and everything that touches me, there is a kind of pattern here.
Right.
I see. That makes sense. I feel like in Europe, like in general, comics are kind of more appreciated as an art form than in the West. Because like, yeah, like I'm from Ukraine, and like I grew up with a lot of just comics laying around, and you were saying your dad was into comics, and like I do feel like that's probably more of an influence on a lot of European artists, I think. What would you say about that?
Yeah, you might be correct here. It wasn't true until the 70s. Before the 70s, the comic books were really aiming at kids, and people were considering that it was shitty literature. But from the 70s, we had some great artists and scriptwriters, and people that you may know, like Moebius or Philippe Drouillet, or people like that, who really made the medium explode. And so it started to be recognized as an art form per se. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with the history of American comic books to know if it's been the same. Obviously, I know about the underground comics like Crumb, Gilbert Chilton, or all these guys, but I'm not familiar with the how it was perceived.
Yeah.
I think that maybe it was more maybe the American in the American market you have the mostly the superhero comic books. That is a huge part of the market.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then you have a tiny part of it that is more adult oriented, more comics that speak about different themes. And maybe in Europe, at least in France, it's more even. It's not just 90% for kids and then 10% for adults. It's more even. So yeah, maybe you could say that it's more well perceived. In France, we have a lot of comic book artists that are invited in a very posh radio broadcast at night about culture and everything. So what would you say about your last comic book? Yeah, I would say that bishu. So we have a kind of things like that.
Yeah, I think it's kind of shifted in the West. I think it like was always for kids, and then I want to say kind of in the like early 90s, comics became more for adults, and indie comics became more and more of a thing, and then it kind of shifted, and now they're probably about equal. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like now it's about equal with the West and then Europe. And there's definitely, I think anime and manga like played a huge part on both to like mature it up a little bit, the influence.
And another thing is that it's true that here in France we have this is something people may not realize outside France, but in France we have this kind of mentality about artists. We kind of put artists in pedestals, whether they are directors or book writers or comic book artists. And so people who work in art are put on a pedestal, but also put themselves on a pedestal a lot of time. Whether in Japan or in America, I think that I speak from my own experience based on people I met work in America or in Japan. I think that maybe in other countries, artists are more used to work as teams. They don't see themselves as je sais pas comment on pourrait dire en anglais, un artiste maudit. Tu vois, il y a pas cette, there is not this kind of, the artist is above everything on his mountain,
Oh, so in English, it would probably be like it would probably be something like the tortured artist. Yeah, in France, there is this culture of the tortured artist that is like...
Interesting.
Yeah, I personally think it comes from kind of like artists like Baudelaire or Verlaine or like the Impressionists like Van Gogh. All these artists are like kind of like what is perceived to be an artist with the capital A. And since they all had like tragic lives, it's kind of like if you say that you want to be an artist, it kind of comes with this baggage. Whereas in America, when you say an artist, it means anyone who draws or makes stuff.
Yeah, totally.
And there is I can see that because as you may know or not, I've created a webcomics platform called Day, which is something I built with friends in order to help artists all around the world to get free from publishers, editors, and it is a set of tools that helps artists to be independent and make a good living of their art. So we started to work with French artists and American artists and Japanese artists, and this is totally different mindset, totally different. And this is where it really struck me by working with these people. It's really different.
Let's take it back a little bit. Did you go to art school or animation school?
Yeah. As I told you, I've been drawing all my life, and I think the shift for me was in high school. I was very lucky to go in a specific high school where there was a teacher who is just an amazing man. And, I can't thank him enough for being who he was. It was my art teacher, Jean-Pierre. And this guy managed to create an experiment inside the high school. There was a class, a room called the Salle 33. It was the 33 room. And basically, this was an art room where you could go whenever you wanted to do whatever you wanted. So obviously, it really became for all the kids who like to do drawing, who like to draw, like to paint, who make sculptures or anything art related.
Yeah, that's great.
We were always hanging out in this room. Most of the time, we didn't do anything else but laughing and making jokes and flirting and everything you do at that age. But
that's great. Yeah, having that space.
It gives you a very different feeling about what art is. It's not just something boring or something difficult. It's just something fun and something social.
Right, where you can connect with other people.
Totally, yeah.
It's something you can share with others, and and it's something you don't have to do by yourself. You don't have to be lonely with what you do. So, for example, a thing we were doing when we were kids like that, every Friday evening we were meeting in this room, and we were doing like jam sessions, comic book jam sessions.
Oh, sure, yeah.
We had huge sheets of papers, and we were doing one panel at a time. So, for example, a friend of mine was doing one panel, and then I was doing the next panel, continuing the story, and then another friend was doing another one. And it was so funny, so funny. we had such a good time doing this.
Yeah, no, I did that too, definitely.
Yeah, and I don't know, and I don't understand why it's not like that everywhere. It should be like that everywhere in the world, because it just
Well,
sets you free, and it makes you understand that art is not fine. Just such a great way to express yourself. And I still got the drawings. I still got the paper sheets.
That's so great.
oh, really? Somewhere?
I kept them all. It's
That's great.
I love it, and I love to look at them. To know it's 30 years later, and I still got them. And also the teacher in this class, he had a deal with a friend of his who was at the printing factory. I don't know, enfin une imprimerie. I don't know how you say it in English.
Yeah, printing house.
Printing house. And so once in a while, maybe one time a year, he was printing a book, a kind of magazine, the magazine of this art room, where he put in it the best painting, the best drawings, and of course all the comic books we were doing. And so there was also an exhibition with for the launch of this magazine, and so all the city was gathering, and there was like signing sessions and everything. So it was just, and we were just like 16, 17, and it was...
Also, he made it like a really big event for all of you kids.
Yeah. So it gave us...
Oh, that's great.
So much confidence about what we could do. So so at what point, I wasn't planning to do to draw for a living. In my mind, I was studying in science, and I wanted to be, like engineer or a doctor, or I know, a veterinarian. I don't know, something related to biology and stuff.
Prestigious,
yeah.
And I thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. This is gonna be my job, and then in the weekend and in the evening, I will do comic books because I'm not that good. And at one point, I said, yeah, fuck it. Let's just try it. I'm gonna try to find a school and try to do it, and see if I can find a job in it. Maybe do cartoons for newspapers or magazines. At that time in France, we had a lot of magazines with comic book magazines. Not so much now, but at that time it was huge. And my dream was to publish comics in Fluide Glacial or Psychopath.
Oh yeah, those were like adult like magazines, but funny. Like, it's like kind of like
it's like Mad Magazine.
Yeah, it's exactly, that would be the equivalent of Mad Magazine.
Yeah, but
okay,
but a little bit more trashy, And it was my dream to at that time I was drawing very cartoony like, and it was I was really, my specialty was more humor and cartoon and everything. So this is the thing I wanted to do, and then I thought, yeah, I'm gonna try to find an art school, try to enter it, and then there is so that was my mindset, but I didn't know what to do really, I was just thinking about it, and then one day. Today I remember perfectly. It was a day that changed everything for me. You could call it serendipity or anything, but we were working, revising for the baccalaureate, the final.
Oh yeah, you were studying for the equivalent of the high school exit exam in France, which, by the way, is a very difficult exam.
Yeah, not so much anymore, but at that time, it was pretty difficult, and especially because I was in the scientific section, and I wasn't that good in science, in fact. Because I was spending my time drawing instead of, taking notes and everything. So, but that day we were it was the math hour, and we were like revising for the final exam, and then I was sketching, doing stuff in my notebook instead of listening, and then suddenly, I don't know why, the whole class started to sing the opening of a cartoon.
Oh yeah.
And it was a famous cartoon at that time in France. Was Capitaine Flamme, Captain Future. And I don't know why the whole class at that moment started to sing Capitaine Flamme, tu n'es pas de notre voie lactée. But I don't know why. And then the teacher got mad and was like, shut up, please shut up, you're ruining your future. And
Oh my
everybody was
God.
laughing and singing, and I was like drawing, and then I rose my head and said, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
What's this mess, and what the fuck am I doing here? We're supposed to study math, people are singing, and I'm here doing drawings. Something's not right, you know?
Yeah.
And then at the second I was thinking this, there is the guy who was sitting next to me. He said, hey, Thomas, he knew that I was drawing. You know what? I'm going to pass a test to get into an animation school.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, does it exist?
Yeah, it exists. Yeah.
You know? Yeah, there is school for animation. And say, yes, it's not. And so, yeah, okay, maybe I should try it. And at that time, I wasn't even considering animation. I didn't even know how animation was done, you know? It was just, for me, it was, I knew how to do comics, but animation, I knew about Flipbox, but that was all, you know? But I was thinking, I thought, well, it's drawing, you know? So why not? So I went to, and this school was Gobelin, you know, it's the famous French school. At that time, it was the only one. It was not that famous. It was just the only one.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So I went there, and I passed at that time there was two tests, a graphic test, and then you had to present. It was successful. You had to present a book.
Oh, right.
So I passed the graphic test, to my big surprise, because I didn't thought I was good enough. But hey, I did it. And then I was allowed to present a book, but I didn't have a book. All I had was...
Oh, you mean like a portfolio?
You know, things I did, this and there, the drawings I had done in high school, you know.
Right.
And at that time, I was too young. So I was only 17, and you couldn't enter the school if you weren't at least 18.
Oh, okay.
So I went to this. I went to the test, and they look at my book and say, "That's all you have? You didn't prepare anything?" No, because I didn't know about this school until some weeks ago, so I didn't have time to prepare something. And how old are you? Yeah, I'm 17. Man. How did they let you enter in this school in this test? You shouldn't have passed the test to begin with. Say, oh, I'm sorry. Can I do it another time next year? Say, yeah, totally. You can do that. So I took a year to prepare myself for that. What I did was I went to university to try to improve. So you know, art plastic. So
so did you go to? I think it would be the equivalent of like community college in the U.S.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
And specialized in art, but you know, art like art, you know,
like fine art.
Yeah, fine art.
Yeah.
So I spent 3 months studying Kandinsky and the history of art, and it was just so boring. I just wanted to draw and make comic books, and I was like studying stuff I didn't understand. But I did learn a thing that was very interesting, because I had one teacher. The teacher was the head teacher of my class was a great artist, but you know, a crazy.
Oh yeah, like like the like the art version of the mad scientist.
yeah, definitely. His name was Michel Journiac. If you make some researches about Michel Journiac, you will see that he was a crazy guy, a really crazy guy. And but his work was very interesting, and but he was crazy. So someone really extreme. So this is the only interesting thing I learned at that time. It's what is a concept, because this is the only thing he was asking me when I was doing things. Say, okay, it's great, you know how to draw, you know this, you know that, but what is your concept? You know, he said, it's what you want to tell the world and how you tell it to the world.
Interesting.
Okay. And this is really the thing that really struck me, and I kept it within me until now. You know, it's the kind of enlightening moment. You know, I was just a
Definitely.
stupid boy, and then this is the kind of moments that just makes you grow. And so voilà. So I stayed. I was supposed to stay a year in this community college, but then I only stayed 3 months because I knew it wasn't
your jam.
Wasn't the right place for me. So I went back to my high school, and the director of the principal of my high school was kind enough to let me go to the high school, even though I wasn't studying there anymore. And so I was, and I went back to the art class with my teacher to keep on doing comics and meet with friends, but this time very seriously trying to make something, a real book to present. And then so I went to Gobelin. I presented the year after that, and I presented my book. And obviously, I was the youngest to be chosen.
Right in this year.
I was only 18, whereas and the others were all graduated from other art schools. So they were all like 22, 23, a lot more mature than me. But I had the chance that at that time that the woman who was in charge of the Gobelin at that time choose the students. She was an incredible woman. It's like my second mother, my mother in animation. It's Babette Vimnet. She's a well-known figure in French animation, and she's very liberal, progressive, leftist woman. And she was at that time very interested in recruiting not the most talented students, but she was interested in recruiting students that had the potential to say things.
Oh, right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, like have like
yeah, I think so.
Like a message, like or like that wanted to bring out, like you were saying before, like concepts, or wanted to share something with.
Yeah, so the she wasn't interested in choosing the people who were the most brilliant artists or anything, but people who wanted to say things that had a special style, that people that had wanted to. Who had affinities with telling stories, which is a very dangerous way of thinking, way of choosing your students when you are the headmaster of an animation school, because the direction of the animation school, they don't ask you to do that. They want you to choose the more brilliant artists, so they become excellent animators and they draw perfectly, and then so they can go into the studios and be great artists and
more technical.
Very technical, very technical. And she did the opposite.
So she was kind of more hiring like an author profile more than like a draftsman profile.
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
And I don't know why, but I think she saw something in me, and she chose me, and I can't thank her enough for that.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's something I wanted to do. It's telling stories. I wasn't really into animating. I wasn't interested in that. It's just boring. So much drawings to do for.
Yeah.
It is a lot of drawings to do.
And I'm not a very skilled artist, and I don't draw fast, and I'm not really good, but I have a thing for telling stories. I got a thing for that. So I guess she saw that, and voila. So I tried my best, and I was another thing that really changed my career is that my first gig was on a TV show which was called Blake and Mortimer. It was it's a famous comic book, French comic book, and I was hired to be the layout artist.
Oh, you were doing layout? That's great.
Yeah. And once again, I don't know why I was chosen, because I really sucked at that time for drawing backgrounds and everything. So I don't know why, but the guy who was in charge of the layout department, Philippe Vidal, who is now a very famous animation director in France. I guess he's been directing half of the French shows of all time in France. And he's just a charming man and so skilled. He's impressive. And he hired me, and I still don't know why, but he hired me, and I learned a lot with him, because at that time layout was we were doing the final background, not the rough background, but the final background. We had to do all the camera moves. We had to do the key poses of the characters, not the animation.
Because animation was on paper at the time, right?
Animation was on paper. Everything was on paper at that time. We had to do the special effects. We had to do the layering. So you say, okay, there is the background, and there is an underlay, and then the animation, and then the overlay, and when there is a camera move, you get to say, okay, it goes from there to there, and then from there to there. So it was really complete, and it taught me how to do a whole scene by myself, and I had to improve in perspective. I had to learn how to put my characters into a perspective and into a background, and to be fast, because we had to do 10 scenes a week, which is huge.
Yeah.
Of course, when you get a close-up of someone talking, it's not that difficult. But whenever you have a fight scene on a, I remember I had to do the layout of a fight scene over a bridge in Budapest, with all the bridge and the city and all the statues on the bridge, and then you have to do all the stunts, and it was just a nightmare. But I learned so much, and oddly enough, it appeared that as my style was more cartoony at that time, but I was kind of skilled at doing some things more realistic, fight scenes and everything. Mainly because one of my biggest influences for the action poses is John Buscema.
Is he a director? I haven't heard his name.
Yeah, what is that?
No, John Buscema is a famous comic book artist, and he did a lot of Marvel stuff like Avengers, Captain America, Thor, and he's mostly known for what he did on Conan. So, and at the time, I was a huge fan of Conan, so I spent hours and hours copying what he did. And it appears that for fight scenes and to make very powerful posings, it really helped me. And then they started to give me a lot of action scenes, so I did all the action scenes. And from that, and of course, then my book, when I left the studio, my book was full of layouts of action scenes.
They're like, oh, he's a good action guy. Let's give him all of the action stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Yeah, that's your thing now.
And it became my thing. I was really more into things like, Ren and Stimpy, like this kind of cartoon, really destructurated, with a strange art style. And so, voila, it made me shift. And then I shifted to storyboard. And though I became specialized into making mostly realistic action shows. And but still, what I try to do is of course to do great action scenes, but great action scenes are nothing if you don't have emotions in it. So what I try to do is not only to have great stunts, but to have a camera work that put the emphasis of what people are feeling, even within the action scenes. And I guess it became my trademark, the mix of emotion, romance, and action. And so I worked on many action shows like this, like the Action Man, which...
So G.I. Joe? There was a G.I. Joe being made in France? Action Man?
Yeah. Action Man, yeah. Action Man. The British...
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, in France, G.I. Joe is called Action Man. It's really funny.
Oh, interesting.
No, it's two different things.
Oh, they're two different things? Wait, so what is Action Man?
Action Man is it's a British thing. It's a...
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is different. Oh.
It's a single guy.
I always thought they were the same. Wow. Well, I learned something today.
No. They're based on G.I. Joe. I'm looking it up right now. It's based on G.I. Joe.
Oh, maybe.
It's a licensed copy of G.I. Joe.
It's the same company though. It's Hasbro, so same company.
I think they use the exact same toys and just changed the name.
Oh, interesting.
But that's interesting.
Yeah, because I feel like, G.I. Joe would not sell well in Europe because of the name of the brand.
No.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So you worked on that show.
Yeah, I worked on a reboot of the show that was very specific. It was a really great experience. I was the storyboard supervisor at that time, and the request from the broadcaster was, we want the greatest action show of all time.
My gosh.
So be bold, try things, and give us blow our minds. So okay, you want that? Okay, I'll give you that.
Was that scary, or was that exciting?
No, I was so excited because at the time I was a lot into Hong Kong movies and 3D animation stuff like that. So we made a mix of 3D and hand drawn animation with a lot of action scenes, martial arts, car chase, and cartoon stuff. It was very graphical. So I really enjoyed it. It was called Alpha Teens on Machines. So it was a reboot of Action Man called that way. It was quite successful in Great Britain, but not that much in the rest of the world. But it's a shame because it was really a good show. And the thing is, we had at that time the everything was done on paper, mostly storyboard, not the animation, but at least storyboard. So I have this little regret that if at that time we had the tools we have now for 3D, for storyboarding and everything, we could have made something so much better. At that time it was really good, but it could have been the equivalent of Japanese shows, I think.
Sure, yeah.
If we had the right tools.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember some stunts I storyboarded in this cartoon. It was just amazing. There was a car chase with the bad guy stealing a huge truck, but this truck was huge and made in metal, like the ancient locomotives, trains from the 30s. And then with this truck, it's a car chase because he escaped prison. And then he wrecks into a car factory. So there are hundreds of cars packed on a parking. And then he goes straight into this parking. So it's like a wave of cars flying as the truck moves into the parking lot. And then behind him, there is the hero in the car doing turns and everything to escape from the cars falling like rain on him. So it was just action scenes like that. It was crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
That's so nuts. Crazy.
And it was really great because at that time I had the opportunity to hire myself a story artist.
Oh, that's
so I hired specific guys who were into Japanese animation, which was very rare at that time. So I hired the first generation of story artists who were into Japanese animation and wanted to do something similar to Japanese shows. So we worked together to try to boost and to change the way we were storyboarding and doing animation. Well, at that time, we were doing storyboards, in French storyboards, we were doing like 100 and 2,000 panels.
Whoa.
And on our show we were doing like 2,400 panels, so we were doing the double because as I told them, if we want to have good animation at the end of the process, we have to do the animation in the storyboard.
Oh, right. So that was kind of like starting to animate in the storyboards. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so obviously the it worked because by doing so, the quality was better and we had less retakes. So it kind of changed the way we were doing storyboards in France. At a point that obviously at one time, because it takes more time obviously to do. So the team went to see the boss of the company and asked for more money because they needed more time to work and do the thing. And the boss said, "Why would I pay you more? This is the stuff you want to make. If you want to spend hours doing on it, that's your problem." But then we show them the metrics.
Right.
Look at the final result and look the percentage of retakes we have. It's the percentage of retakes drops when we prepare the animation in the storyboard. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, you got to show them the money. Show them that they're gonna save money.
Yeah, so they gave the team more time, more money, and it was a bold move because then all the bosses of other studios in France then took their phone and called for the boss of the studios who were working at that time and said, "You're crazy! You're gonna ruin. We're gonna go bankrupt if all the storyboard artists will ask the same conditions and." We're gonna go bankrupt because we'll have to pay them more and everything. But the hard boss stood up and it really changed the way we did storyboards in France.
Man, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Gotta fight for that. Gotta fight for the more money, more everything.
Yeah, it's a win-win. Let artists try things.
Right.
Do bold things, and in the end, maybe you don't see it at the beginning, but in the end, it always pays because the show will be more successful because at one another it changed the way you work, so you're getting more productive. You create new things, and
well, board artists need room to explore, you don't get good work when you're forcing people into tight schedules and budgets and things, and it's obviously always going to be a compromise between money and art, but all the best stuff comes from people being allowed to just have some breathing room,
Mm-hmm. And you have to take into account also one thing is that the in France we really don't have the same work conditions as you.
In US.
For example, at that time on Atom it was 20 minutes episode, and I split the way I organized the things. I split the episodes in two, so I had two artists per episode, and they had 3 weeks to do half an episode.
Okay, 3 weeks to do the boards for half an episode.
Yeah. Then we had 4 weeks to do for half an episode. But as far as I know, the in America you have much more time to do thing, and you're much more paid.
We do, and it's still not enough. That's crazy that it's that.
I think it really depends on the show because some of the shows are if you're gonna storyboard on a sitcom, it's not gonna be the same amount of work as if you're storyboarding on an action show.
That's true.
So
yeah, but even that depends because there's sitcom shows that make you be so on model that you spend most of the time just making sure your drawings are perfect, even though they're just gonna do flash or harmony animation anyway. So it's just a huge waste of time for everyone.
But I remember that when I learned how much storyboard beginners at ELM were paid for the Star Wars show.
Right.
I can't remember what it was. Star Wars Rebels or
Clone Wars, maybe.
Right. Sure.
The storyboard artist, the beginning storyboard artist was paid my pay rate as a director.
Oh yeah, in France.
Oh man, yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, I think it's also because in the US there's the union, and the union is
we have a guild.
Yeah, it's really, really good to help fight for artists' conditions. I think in France we do kind of have a little bit of a union with the comment ça s'appelle là, ce syndicat, tu sais?
But there is two unions in France mostly. There is the CGT, which is the communist syndicate, but it's not specialized in animation.
Yeah.
There is a CGT branch for audiovisual, anything TV or cinema related, and sometimes they take care of animation.
Yeah.
But there is no real. The only syndicate specialized in animation is the SNTPCT.
That one. I was thinking of that one, the SNTPCT, because I was like, I know it's a lot of letters and I can never remember the order. And I've been to a couple of their meetings when I was in France, and I felt like I was in the past. I was like, I feel like I'm in a historical movie, where and I was just like, there's not, how is this ever gonna work?
Yeah, I really had I got a story about that is just crazy. At the time we had a meeting. So because at the time the storyboard artists were really pissed because of the schedule and the pay rate. So the SNTPCT organized a big meeting sessions for all storyboard artists, so which was great. So here we are in the SNTPCT local with 60 storyboard artists. And I just discovered the union, and it's just a crappy basement with no windows.
Yeah, when I went, it was still that basement. They're still in this like dingy basement.
Yeah, and the guy who's running the syndicate is a lovely man, and he's incredible. He's making incredible work, but it's just in a basement with no room and no windows, and we are like 60 in there, and then we start talking about how to improve things, and I say one of the things I said is, so first what we should do is maybe change the name of the syndicate, because SNTPCT it's really difficult to pronounce, and we should do something more, and when you connect on the website of the SNTPCT, just a crappy GeoCities website from the 90s,
Oh, sure.
It's like a website from the 90s.
Yeah.
And I was like, we are a union for visual art, so can we be trusted if we're not visual, if we are not appealing?
Yeah.
Like no one's going to take us seriously with like the way that we're presenting ourselves.
And so I said, it was very, very harsh for me to say that, but I said, okay, we really need to change that. We work on the website and everything, and I got a friend who's making website, and I if you want, I can pay for it. It's not that expensive, and I really want things to change, and I really want things to evolve. So I took out my paycheck, and I say, I can pay. What money do you need? I pay for it right now. I want things to move on. Let's do it. And the guy was like, well, no, it's more difficult than that, because I got to refer to the higher grounds. And
it's because it's like the bureaucracy is insane. It's really insane.
Yeah. And everything is like that in France. Everything is like that. And I was like, you see, that's why, unfortunately, things are so slow to change. We can't work like that.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing for storyboard. I was like, okay, we need to improve the way we work as a story artist. And I myself, I've been doing many works. I've been a storyboard artist. I've been a director, but I've also been a producer. I've run a studio, because I was for a few months I was the head of Ankama Studio in Paris. We had a branch of Ankama in Paris.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
So I knew I know both sides.
Right. Like the producer side and the artist side.
Yeah. So what I told my fellow storyboard artists is that, guys, we just can't go see producers and just say we want more time, we want more money. It won't work. And it's we need leverage.
Right.
Sure.
Okay. And if we just go like this and say we stop working, so we are just freelancers, so they will take anybody else.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have any leverage. So if we want leverage, we need to bring
That's the hard part.
reasonable things that will make them understand that if they give us more money, if they give us more time, it will be better for them.
Right.
But then we get to show them metrics.
Yeah. Like actual, like like.
And metrics they will understand.
Yeah.
And so what I propose that instead of considering storyboards on a number of cuts, okay, a 20 episode is roughly 400 to 600 cuts. What I said is we need to think about the number of panels.
Right.
The panels should be the unit for the metrics. And then what we need to do is say there is the number of panels, and then you have do you have to create your own action notes? Do you have to be your drawings? Do you have to be model? Do you have to put 3D BGs into it? We have to list everything that the production waits from us, and then depending on all these options, we need to create, like in animation. I don't know if you're familiar with how it works in animation, but there are several categories of scenes. For example, if you do a close-up, these are the cheaper scenes.
I see.
So it's
Sure,
the A
of
scenes.
course, yeah.
And then there is the B scenes, and then there is the C scenes.
Right.
And the C scenes are scenes with a lot of with crowds and a big background and everything.
Right. The
And
money
obviously, it
shots.
takes more time to do this, so it has to be paid more.
Right.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And what I said is that, given all the metrics, we need to provide a
Yeah.
grid for producers that says, okay, how do you want your storyboard to be? Do you need do you need it to be cleaned up? Do you need do you need the storyboard artist to put the sounds into the sound waves into the project?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do you need to have it done in English? Do you have to in French? The number of panels, what number of panels do you expect? And then we can have storyboards, A storyboards, B storyboards, C storyboards.
I see.
And then we can have something that is more accurate for everything.
Right.
Because obviously, when you do a storyboard work on Miraculous, it's not the same work as doing storyboards for a preschool show.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So and the people in animation studio, in French animation studio, they don't realize that.
Oh, I see.
They don't know about it. For them, it's the same thing. It's a storyboard.
I see.
Right.
Yeah.
So we need to make them understand that there is a difference. It's much more difficult, so it should be more paid, you know.
Right.
And to make them understand that, because we can make them understand that because of the quality, just based on the quality of the drawing.
Right.
Because they don't know how to draw. They don't know how much time it takes to make a drawing. We have to make them understand the difference by metrics.
Right.
That's a really good that's like an interesting angle that I don't think we hear about enough, that like animation involves so much problem solving on like a technical level. And I think a lot of young artists go into it thinking like you can just make stuff and have ideas and like do whatever storyboards you want and like the network will back you. And it's like, absolutely not. Everything has to be thought out and there's shortcuts. And like almost every series that we grew up loving was done with like within really tight constraints. And like it's just all problem solving, a lot of reuse.
Yeah.
It's an industry, so we need to have to speak like industrials. We need to have when we share thoughts with the production, we need to have a business and industrial language, because this is the only language they understand.
Right.
They can't understand our artistical point of view.
Yeah, they just can't. Like they literally just don't really get it. They didn't grow up with it.
Yeah, because what we do, drawing and everything, it's artsy. It's arts and craft. So you cannot explain that to someone who's not into that.
Oh, it's abstract. Yeah.
He cannot possibly understand.
Yeah, it's abstract and it's hard for them to wrap their heads around because they didn't grow up with it. So
it's our duty of it's our burden.
Yeah.
It's our burden.
It is
to speak their language, because they will never speak ours.
Yeah. If we lived in a perfect world, we would be calling the shots. But I feel like even if artists were given free reign to make whatever they wanted to make, I don't know if that would necessarily be good either, because then you end up with like there's something about, maybe you can speak to this, but like there's something about having those limitations that makes a show sometimes better, because you have to be creative with the choices you make. Like you within those budgets, within those constraints, you have to be clever. And if you're given free reign, it's like sometimes like I would get assignments in school that are like, just draw whatever you want, and I would have no idea what to do, because it's like no, can you please give me like more instruction? Like I would do better if I had instruction. And so I was wondering, like as a showrunner, what you think about that.
But constraints are good. Too much constraints are difficult. But the right amount of constraints is really good, and because it gives you a framework.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Sure. Exactly.
So for Miraculous, for example, I really cherish the relation we have with broadcasters.
Yeah.
Because they are like, once the trust is built, because they don't trust you at the beginning. Yeah. Trust is something that has to be earned from their point of view, and ours, of course. It's a two-way road. But once the trust is here, they really act like it's your third eye. you know?
Right.
Sometimes you're too much into the project and there are things you don't see, and they're here to give you, distance, and have a fresh look
Mhm.
on what you're doing. And it's very precious.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot, especially because I think writing things on my own is way more difficult than when I have someone that's around to help me brainstorm or to be like, oh, I think this
Yeah.
is not within your concept anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really important to me. So this is something that unfortunately fans don't understand, because
No.
it's just something that I'm a lot criticized, because fans think that I don't like to, I don't take criticism in account.
I see.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, you don't have to listen to anyone's critics. Some people are well placed to make critics, and because that the broadcasters, when they make critics,
Right.
they know the ingredients. We signed a thing with them, a contract with them, saying this show will be about that. There will be this ingredient. It should target this age rate. We should do this. We should do that. There will be this kind of story arc and everything. The feeling of the series will be that. So it's a kind of moral agreement between the broadcasters. So when we work on this all together, we have all this knowledge.
Right.
We know what we're doing and where we're going. So having these people looking at what we do and sometimes says, "Oh, be careful here. You're going off road."
Right.
It's very important, very important. And so, of course, this criticism is very welcome. But when fans, for example, make criticisms about an episode or this or that, they're not aware of all these constraints.
Right.
So their criticism is off road.
I see. It's kind of like if you sold a show that is going to be like a mystery show and all of this, and so that's what you signed with the producer, network, and broadcaster. But then if you were to be like, this has been a mystery show for like 3 years, what if it became an adventure show?
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, that's not what we bought. And then
and also we have story arc that are built, so the broadcasters, they know where we want to go. So they're able to judge if we are going to this point in a good way or not.
Right.
But of course, the viewers, they cannot, they don't know yet where we want to go.
I see. Yeah.
So of course, sometimes we make things that are deceptive.
I see.
But it's on purpose,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you always feed the people what they want, it's not interesting.
Yeah.
As I always say, we're not here to provide people what they want. We're here to keep them on an edge. We to play with their frustration.
Yeah, you want to challenge audiences. Yeah.
I guess I see what you're saying. It's like you want to keep surprising the audience, because if the audience knows exactly what's gonna happen, then they're gonna get bored really fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
People think they want the answers quick, but
Yeah, it would be very deceptive not to be deceptive at some point.
Right. Yeah.
It's a paradox, but
yeah.
Well,
I'd love to ask you about, you talked a little bit about your influences and the stuff you grew up on, but I was wondering if there's anything, and we actually had a question about it from @Marcelu827. Do you watch anime? And if so, which ones are your favorites and which ones left an impact on you? And that's a question I always like to ask too.
I used to watch a lot of anime when I was younger, but I stopped like 10 years ago because
it's not very good anymore.
It grew not old, but these are tropes in animation.
Yeah.
In anime that I can't anymore. So just
no, I agree.
The way women are presented, and there's a lot of stuff that I can't.
Yeah, I agree.
It's too there are really interesting things, but
yeah.
But indeed, anime had a lot of influence on me. One of my first influence was Grandizer. It's an anime, and then shows like Captain Flamme or Captain Harlock or Tetsuan Atomu or things like Fulikuli or
I love Fulikuli
or Naruto or all that stuff. The Senseiya, Sailor Moon, the Death Note, or really I used to watch a lot of this stuff, and and sure, my main influence in Japan is obviously all the work from Osamu Tezuka, who is the godfather of everything. So he's at he's at the origin of everything. So yeah, you could say that anime is a huge it's a huge thing for me. But unfortunately, not recent anime, which I found quite boring.
Yeah. Well, there was a weird shift. Like 10 years ago is about right, because I feel like there was a weird shift in the early 2010s where it got so commercial and it got so watered down.
Yeah, mostly fan service and
Yeah, a lot of fan service. I think around that time I realized that I don't really like anime. Like there's definitely like one-off examples. Like I'm a big fan of like Mob Psycho. I think Mob Psycho is one of the best things that's come out in a long time. Or a lot of Masaki Yuasa's stuff I really like. I don't know how much of his work you've seen, but like those are exceptions. Like most of it is just.
I don't know, because even I'm a huge admirer of this kind of new artist working in animation. When things like Mind Game came out, I was like, wow, it's really mind blowing. But then a few years after, there is like the Devilman stuff.
Yeah, did you not like Devilman?
It was like, definitely some. Okay, it's going in ways that are not for me anymore.
Gotcha.
The violence,
I relate to that a lot.
the message that is kind of weird.
It's kind of like you were saying, Jean, and what you were saying, Thomas, is like there are like a couple of tropes. I would say like probably 10-ish tropes in anime. And the first time you discover these tropes, you're like, wow, it's amazing. And then when you watch these 10 tropes over and over and over again, it's like, well, I get it now. And it's like there's no surprises anymore. Because,
it's boring.
Yeah, it's always relying on these very same tropes.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that these things aren't good, that people shouldn't love it or anything. It's just what I'm saying is I've watched a lot, and now it's okay for me.
Oh yeah.
I'm good with it. It's just I'm more into other stuff now. Then that's all. But
yes, I agree.
I think it's like we outgrow it. It's like I think it's right. I think anime is great when you're like a teenager, young adult, because it's like because it usually deals with themes that you don't really see in younger cartoons. But,
it's edgy,
But then you outgrow it like after you've watched. I think that's
Maybe I'm just an old fart now. I'm 46 and
no. Well, I predict that I'm 31 now and I'm already getting tired of it. And I predict that in 10, 15 years, I'll probably feel like you and I'll be like, this is all the same shit.
But one thing that still strikes me is the technical quality of all this stuff.
It's amazing.
Of course.
There is a technical improvement of the TV shows, because all the TV shows that I used to love were just crappy technically.
Yes.
But now it's just the quality of the 2D hand-drawn animation is just mind-blowing, you know?
Yeah.
But just what it tells doesn't touches me anymore. That's all. And it's not enough. The technical qualities is not enough now that I'm older to keep me on my seat in front of my TV to watch.
Well, I assume you're a busy guy and you have a lot, and so you need to prioritize your time better too, probably. So it's like if something's not, I feel that way more and more, where it's like there's so much out there, and people tell me to watch so many shows, and I'll watch an episode, and I'm like, this is boring. I can't commit, 13 hours or whatever it is of my life to this. It's like
the same for me. If the first episode doesn't hook me, I'm done.
Yeah. It's like, I get it. I know where this is gonna go. I get it. And it's just like, sure, y'all have fun.
Do you Thomas, do you have anything that you like to watch right now or to read? For example, what is your favorite kind of art that you like to, I guess, consume is kind of like a bad word, I guess, but like
engage with.
What kind of art do you like to enjoy these days?
It's really difficult, because I got many things to do beside my work on Miraculous. There are other projects I want to work on, and plus there is my daughter.
Of course, yeah.
So I haven't been watching a movie. The last movie I watched was like months ago. Same for the series. So it's kind of difficult. And whenever I have a little bit of time now, I prefer reading
Mm-hmm.
essays or philosophy or things
Oh,
that
okay.
teaches me things about other stuff that animation and storytelling. I need to feed myself,
Right.
not with fiction, but other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a point in my career that in terms of storytelling, I'm quite good at it. So it's really rare for me to pick new things that say, oh, that's nice, that's nice. So I need to feed myself other stuff to in order to progress now.
Yeah, you're
Mm-hmm.
more looking
Yeah.
for ideas, like concepts, rather than like tools.
Yeah, like an
Yeah.
history, philosophy, politics, diplomacy, and
Do you have a favorite philosopher
Yeah.
or like a favorite current like school of thought from philosophy?
no, not really. Let's just say that one book that really struck me when I was that blew my mind when I was younger is the Memories of Lame Deer. Was a Lakota chief,
Mm-hmm.
and it just just made my mind shift.
Mm.
So I try to live my life, following, for keeping these principles in my head.
Mm.
So it's not really a philosophy. It's not, so I don't know how to define it.
Spirituality, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe
Mm.
spirituality. That's something that really I trying to go that way and pick things here and there. And the last thing I discovered was the work of Jean Kelevich,
Mhm.
a philosopher, and the wrote a book which is called Le Traité des Vertus.
Mm. Treatise on virtue, I guess, would be probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's really interesting, and somehow it really had a lot of echo in me. It's a really, enfin, ça a beaucoup résonné en moi.
So yeah, it echoed a lot of with a lot of like your own beliefs.
Yeah, and and how I see life and how I see how things work, how things are linked. It was really interesting. I could speak about hours about that, but it's not maybe it's not the right place. But yeah, this is more the things I'm interesting because these are the things then afterwards that lead me when I write
I
stories.
see.
Because I try to write stories about that when you are making a show about superheroes. Yeah, superheroes who fight for good. What's evil? What's good? And
Mm-hmm.
of course, you have to. These are big philosophical issues that are more complicated than you could think.
Right.
When you're not. Of course, if you're Manichaean, je sais pas si c'est le. I don't.
Oh, like when you believe in good and evil. So I don't know.
Yeah, le manichéisme. I'm not into that. So there are really interesting things to explore, and the how emotion works to shape our
Mm.
intellect and shape our lives.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, connect dots between what I read into psychology, spirituality, philosophy, and try to make sense, trying to find a sense in this crazy universe we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really yeah, for sure. I think it's really good advice, especially for younger artists, because like I think I see this a lot where I think people grow up with, watching animation, watching anime, comics, whatever, and all the whatever they make is a response to the stuff that they grew up with. And that starts to limit the ideas that are being put out there because it's just a version of what has already existed. And I think that it's really good to read more, experience life, to travel and like go outside of that bubble of the media that already exists, because then you're adding ideas, you're not just recycling ideas.
And it can be an inner travel, it's you don't have to work overseas and everything. It can be an inner travel, just reading philosophy or sociology or about physics or history. It can be just an inner travel, but something that enlightens your mind and then
Right.
helps you.
Travel of the mind.
Yeah, the travel of the mind. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know that I wasn't. I'm a very different guy. I'm a very different guy now. 10 years after the beginning of Miraculous.
Sure, I would hope so. Yeah.
I wasn't. It's very funny because Miraculous has been like the mirror of my inner changes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It started like a superhero show with very corny aspects, and I knew I had something in there, hidden, and I had and I knew it was good, and I knew it could be something huge, but I had to. It's like when you create a statue, you have this huge block of marble, and you have to find the statue in it.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
And the Miraculous is like that. The first season is like this huge block of marble, and there is something, inside it, and of course it's not inside it. It's inside me, and I need to go and look for it. And it helped me rethink the way I envision the world, the relationship between people, and how emotions work and everything. And I had a very interesting discussion with my stepbrother, brother-in-law, sorry, a few months ago when I was in Brazil, because he's a psychiatrist, and we started to talk about emotions, because of course it's his field of expertise, and I talked about emotions and Miraculous and how I was thinking about emotions, and it was really interesting because for example, I'll explain you. Maybe it's off topic, but who cares?
Hey, go for it. Yeah.
I talked about how I envisioned emotions. For me, some emotions are linked. You got to envision emotions are as strings on a guitar, and each string is a specific emotion. It's not an emotion. It's a link between two emotions. For example, I link hope and fear. Because and why do I link these two emotions? Because I think that the string that links hope and fear is the string you play on. This string is how you project yourself in the future.
I see.
If you think that something bad is going to happen, you play the string on the side of fear, at the B point of fear. And then if you project yourself and think, okay, something's good is going to happen in the future, you play like in a guitar, you play the string more on the other edge of the string, the other end of the string, and you play it at hope. And all emotions are like that. And if you're not conscious about this, you're like someone who has a guitar in his hands and just do plink, plonk, plink, plonk, 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 plink.
Yeah.
And there is no melody, and so your life doesn't make sense. You don't know what you do. You struggle with your own feelings, and you're kind of lost. But when you learn to play the guitar, when you learn to be in control of your emotions, or not even in control, but when you know how to recognize them, and then you're able to play on the strings,
right?
But willingly, and then you can create your own melody, and you create the melody of your life.
Really beautiful.
This is really good therapy. This is really good.
I like that a lot. That's really beautiful.
And it was very interesting because what my brother-in-law said is that it's very interesting because we know about emotions. All we know about emotions is that there are states of mind that are provoked by chemicals,
right?
Brains.
Yeah.
And so, but these are something that. So this is the really concrete part. The concrete part is these are chemicals,
right?
Basically in our system. But these are also abstract things. It's really difficult to talk about emotions because maybe it's we say there are fear, hope, and everything, but these are just words put on concepts, but it doesn't have the same meaning for all of us. And and for example, in German, there are words for specific emotions, and we don't even have these words in French, for example. And so, as we don't have the words, we are not able to put words. We're not able to recognize these emotions in ourselves because we don't even have the word for the concept of this emotion,
Right.
So emotion is a very, very difficult thing to speak about, and it's very difficult to deal with because it's really difficult to speak about. But so what we need is ways to visualize emotions, to be able to handle them. And apparently, we artists are very good at handling emotions because we are very visual people. We have inner tools
Mm.
to visualize. We are still very imaginative, and so we are able to create tools to visualize our emotions and to deal with. And maybe that's why we are so sensitive. It's because we are able to bear more intense emotions than other people.
I see. Yeah.
See, we are more sensitive because we feel more, and we feel more because we are more resilient when it hurts us.
I see.
I don't know if it makes sense, but
no, it's really interesting. Something I notice a lot is that like there's a lot of people that are like on the spectrum, like they have autism or they have Asperger's. Like they there seems to be a lot of people that gravitate towards animation, and I think that they like get a lot of understanding of those emotions that they might have a harder time with, and it helps. Like animation will like help them understand a lot of that stuff, and so I find that there's a lot of people like that get really into animation, and I think that like really helps them out.
yeah, and that's the beauty of for example, that's why I'm so in love with Osamu Tezuka's work, for example, because he has a way to use, for example, abstract background to create to convey an emotion, and only art can provide that.
That's true.
Right.
I feel like I also heard that someone said that vice versa, the vice versa en français, Inside Out in English, has helped a lot of therapists because it has like the visuals to connect with emotion.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
You have to find your own way to visualize emotion, and I don't say that my way to visualize emotion is the truth, or that upside down is the right way to visualize emotion. In fact, there is no truth in that, but we have to create our own tools to explore emotions. So it's I feel that as artists, it is our responsibility to provide this kind of tools, to share these tools with people.
I like that mission for the artist. I think that's really neat, because I remember like in the book, I think Kandinsky wrote about the artist's mission in Dot and Line on Plane, I think. I'm not sure if it's specifically this one or the other book that he wrote, but he talks about the artist's mission, and he also has like a point of view that is not specifically geared towards emotion, but he does say that as artists we have a mission to bring towards the crowds concepts and ideas that are difficult to understand.
But the thing is that we have to the first step is with emotions, because people want fiction and comic books and movies because they want to feel things. They don't want to be given lessons or everything. They want to watch something that make them feel things. And when you make them feel things, then you can explain them things and put some message in it. If you just have the message, it doesn't work. But if you get both, then the message will have a way to go through the mind.
That is so true, because I did read in an article that when someone falls in love, like that's the moment then they're the most able to go through change. Like that's the moment when their brain and like
interesting,
like kind of basically the whole state of your mind and body allows you for new pathways, and like you're more able to
That's
think.
So interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, because the chemicals in the chemicals your body produces change.
It's really interesting. Do you guys want to talk about creative blocks, since we're kind of talking about change and like overcoming all these kind of things?
Yeah, let's do it.
Thomas, do you have you experienced creative block, and if yes, what does it feel like for you when you're in the middle of it?
Not really. I didn't experience real creative block. I'm a kind of huge procrastinator. Sorry. But it's just because I have so much things to do that it's
you have no time to
to
have block.
So a real block, no, and also because there is a book that a friend offered me a long time ago, a very effective and simple book. It was called How to Be Funny Even If You're Not.
Oh, interesting.
And basically it's just a book about writing, you know, whether you write for TV shows or novels or stand-up comedy. And so it's not just about being funny. It's about writing and how to make your stories interesting, how to put conflict into it, and also how to deal with how to provoke a flow of ideas. And so this guy had I can't remember the name of the, look at it on the internet. But one of the tips the guy was giving is that just don't overthink it. Just write, and when you need an idea or something, or and it works for drawing as well. Just draw, just write, and even if it's shitty, that's not the point. The point is not being good. The point is doing it.
I agree.
And it will be the right time on the YouTube to put the man.
Just do it.
Do it.
Oh, we gotta get Nike to sponsor us.
Yes, please.
But there is a truth in it, because when you write things, you need a joke. Okay, write a joke. Write one joke. It's not gonna be funny. Write 10 jokes, 20 jokes, and at one point there will be a good joke, and there will be a good drawing, and that's the important thing. Sometimes when I work, what I like to do, I like to work with storyboard artists when I'm a director or a storyboard supervisor. I tell the people I don't need you to give me the perfect storyboard. And sometimes when we work on the storyboard and I give them retakes, I tell them it's what I'm doing here, changing a scene and asking you to do this, to do it like this instead of that. It's not that I'm a genius or anything, or that I know what is right to do. No, it's just because sometimes we work together in exploring several ways of doing one thing. And then before finding the right thing, you need to do things wrong.
Right. Yeah, you got to get the bad ideas out before you.
Voilà. That's exactly. You need, and so you don't have to be afraid of anything. Just do it, even if it's wrong. Even wrong is useful. So that's just it. And if you feel like you don't want to draw, you don't want to write, just don't draw. Just don't write.
You probably need a break if you feel that way.
Probably if your body and your mind just says, I don't want to write, I want to draw, it's because you just have anything else to do in your life. So do this other thing and then go back writing and drawing afterwards, and don't be ashamed of it. It's not,
well,
let your spirit wander and deal with the things that are in your mind at that time, and it's not a problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we call that burnout, where it's just like you've burnt through all of your creative juices, and so you need to usually need to take a break and walk away from it and like come back to it. It's like you were saying, like read things, like experience things, like you gotta just go outside of that zone.
So this book is, I've read a lot of books about writing and script writing, blah 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 blah, and most of them are really boring and unuseful and with a lot of rules and blah. But this one, you can read it in 2 hours, and it contains everything you need to know, and in a very funny way. And so it's I like it because you can write intelligent and useful thing without being boring. You can be popular and
sure
and interesting at the same time, and intelligent at the same time. That's the thing I try to do in my work, and I hope I manage to do that sometimes. And this book is really like that. It's a lot of interesting and intelligent things, but in a very not serious way, and it's great. If you want to write or anything, just read this book. It's a really good starting point.
That's great. We have a question from Miracular Chris. Besides your current projects, what would you like to work on in the future? And will you really make the story of young Gabriel Agreste in Bede? And even if you don't, I guess if we don't use these questions, they want you to know that they are grateful and that they love you.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's nice. Yeah, your fans love you, man.
Thank you, guys. Well, regarding Miraculous, we have a lot of our plate. We have a lot on our plates right now. There will be a lot of projects regarding Miraculous, obviously I want to make a lot of comic books, but as the it has become a really huge brand with a lot of partners. The other face of the coin is that it's become more and more difficult to be free and creative.
I see. Because you're so busy with the brand.
No, it's more because that if I want to do comic books, I need to make it. Everybody has to check it.
I see.
I just can't do a comic book on my own on Miraculous with this or that, and no, it has to go through a big process and a big validation process.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating. It's good because, as I told you, it's good. It's always good to have a feedback on what you want to do. But at the same time, it's very frustrating because it really slows down the process. And so I hope we will manage to do it. And besides Miraculous, I have many more projects on Bayday. There are a lot of projects I want to do, and I've been working on them for years. But I need to build teams of writers, of artists, in order to make them happen on Bayday. And beside that, I've been approached for other stuff I can't speak of, but are things that are really, really interesting. And I'd really love to make them as well. So it's really difficult to choose.
Too many ideas.
Yeah.
It's hard. Got to make time. Time is the currency you can't get back.
Yeah. The truth is, I'm not afraid of death.
Right.
I'm just afraid that I won't be able to do everything I want to do before I die.
Yeah.
I understand.
That's the hardest part. That's the hardest part. Fee, did you want to ask any of these other questions?
Yeah, let's see. From @flawpink, I have one question. I don't think I've ever seen someone asking that. With knowledge and decisions which you have made by finishing writing season 5, is there anything I think it's an interesting question because it basically asks, now that you've written all of what you've written with Miraculous, is there anything now that if you could, you would go back and change?
Yeah, but these are mostly details that would add more consistency, or things that we've made that we thought was clear, but in fact that wasn't clear enough. But mostly we would have done the same. But we would have. If I had the opportunity to do that, I would improve some tiny details.
The same but better.
And we made some mistake. For example, it's just. I'm just gonna give you an example. It's just that, for example, there is an episode in which Ladybug says that the Miraculous are indestructible, so we need the Cataclysm to destroy them, which is a line that has been added afterwards because it felt that it was needed in the episode to put a lot of to make the stakes higher and to justify Cat Noir using his Cataclysm, but clearly it wasn't in the script to begin with, so it shouldn't have been added.
Oh,
so
I see.
This is the kind of tiny mistakes that I would like to correct, but
it's too late.
It doesn't change a lot of things. It just adds sometimes a bit of confusion, but it doesn't change the machinery of the show.
Yeah, like it doesn't. I was wondering, because you got a couple of questions about how did you come up with the idea of Miraculous. I'm just gonna say @officialmary14 asked that, and @Sandra78363193 also asked that question.
Well, let's say it's just I've been into superheroes and magical girl and anime for a very long time. And obviously I wanted to do something about superheroes like that. But the sparkle came the day that I was working on Witch or Action Man, I can't remember. And then there is a girl that joined the team, and she had a T-shirt with a ladybug on it. And I started to do a little sketch of her as a superhero, and as a ladybug superhero, And I was like, wow, this is a great character. Well, I should do something with that. And that was the sparkle, So it's a mix of a sparkle, a serendipity, There is something at one time that happens, and that makes sense regarding everything you've done before in your life.
Right.
So it's just a catalyst, of something.
Sure.
I love that. I think that's a great summary of how you got the initial idea.
So that's important, you know, to in your life to be aware of these moments, to stay conscious about this, you know,
Right.
to be able to when sometimes in your life something's happened and you feel really attracted to this. There is something that speaks to you here. You should listen to that. You don't even know what it's going to become afterwards, but it's not a problem. If it speaks to you, go there. This is where you should be.
Definitely.
I agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's the end of this creative block. Thanks to Tomas for being our guest and sharing his story.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. Thank you. And thanks also to your listeners. Follow us on Twitter. It's at Creative Blog, creative without the vowels, where we ask for drawing prompts and questions to ask our guests. Huge thanks to my sister Clemens for editing the podcast.
Please subscribe to the channel if you love our content. I've been your host, Gene.
And I was V. Keep being creative, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.